Don't turn the dial, listen up. This 80s crew. Come on, feel the vibe. We're bringing something new. Got movie on its mind, but bringing us to unfold. Got movies on the mind, stories to unfold. Let's talk, let's try. This is where the magic
And good morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Harrison Smith back with another installment of Cinema. And dropping you a line again, just as some things come to me. And I guess what I wanted to talk about on this episode is the very cynical practice of when programming. I'm mostly looking at television on this, or streaming, mostly focused on a series. When they try to pass themselves off as more smart than what they are. And there is a practice to this. I believe it is something that is an active thing. I think it's a thing, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to use the TV series Dexter as the prime example here. And there are many examples of where this is done. And movies do it too. But there is a practice out there by writers that believe that if you just pack the plot, if you just layer in every single contrivance and all these mini twists and false gotchas and layering in characters and the way that they interact, and then they suddenly don't react the way that their character should, you've got something intelligent. Like, people walk away thinking, wow, that was hard to follow. So it must be smart, and I'm not. And I'm going to explain by using Dexter's. So let me go back. Years and years ago, I was told you have to see Dexter. Being a horror guy that you are, you're going to love Dexter because it's about this serial killer, and he works undercover, basically as a double life, as a forensics expert in blood spattering. And, here he kills only the bad people. And so you've got a little death wish in there. You've got so much in there. And look, I will grant you, cool premise. I don't know how you get multiple seasons out of that. Like, that's a question I would have asked. And I know it's based on literary material. I just don't know how you get a long running series out of any of this, but they did. And obviously it's become a massive hit. They brought him back. We'll get to all of that momentarily. So I'm told you have to watch it. Now, to be fair, I was also told with the same amount of hype, you have to watch Breaking Bad. Now, this is when Breaking Bad was still on the air. You have to watch Breaking Bad. You have to watch Breaking Bad. It's incredible. It's the best thing on television. And I fucking refused to watch it because I was told I had to watch it. And that's why I avoided Dexter, because I was so sick of the hype. And by that point, we had just ended Lost, the TV series. And that was another one in typical J.J. Abrams fashion that pulls the old, we're just going to throw a bunch of shit at you and you're going to think this is really smart. And also with J.J. Abrams doing his no it's not, okay it is kind of thing. And that's a whole other podcast right there on what I call the J.J. Abrams switcheroo. But Lost had one of the shittiest series finales ever. Like, I wish I had one of those styrofoam bricks, because I would have chucked it at my screen. That's how lousy that last final episode of the series was. And the show, admittedly, had been going downhill pretty much since the close of the third season. So they were just running that show on nothing for 3 more years. And it showed. But there were so many people like, oh, Lost is amazing. It's so complex. No, it's just layered with a lot of bullshit. And you think it's complex because, let's face it, most of the stuff that we watch is so dumbed down and so mediocre that whenever you get something that is just a tick above average or mediocre, people hail it as amazing, incredible. a classic, epic, all those stupid terms, which in the end, you sit down and you really watch it and you go, what was that all about? And that's Dexter. So we've got our premise. We have a serial killer who only kills the bad people because his foster father understood that his son, the foster father who was a cop, and through a bunch of intricacies, we understand why he rescued this boy from watching his mother being chainsawed. And he, in turn, raises this boy to suppress his killer feelings and to channel them only toward killing bad people that he has very strictly vetted to make sure that they are truly bad people, that there could be no mistake. Now, first of all, Dexter's going to fuck up and make a mistake here and there. And that will, of course, add to the drama of the show because it adds the so-called complexity of his character. So we have Dexter played by C. Michael Hall, and he's fine. He's a good-looking guy. He definitely has that waspy, yuppie kind of look where you'd never guess he was a serial killer, but in some ways that they frame him and the way that he looks at the camera, you can definitely see the dead in his eyes and understand that, yeah, he could be a serial killer. I get all of that. And we immediately pick up in the first season, and that's what I'm really going to focus on with this because I'm now about halfway through the initial run of Dexter before the conclusion of the original series, and then, we have 2 bringbacks. Which I'm not going to go into because I haven't gotten to them yet. So you're probably saying, well, Harrison, you're judging something you haven't watched all the way through. No, I've watched enough so far to make this judgment. And the more that I watch, the more that I see this is continuing all the way through. So we're going to go to the first season and we're going to talk about why I'm saying this. So we have Dexter, who is in the middle of an investigation or brought into an investigation of a killer which will be known as the Ice Truck Killer. And, has the gruesome Hannibal Lecter kind of background where he is cutting up his victims. They seem to be frozen. And we have a lot of stuff on, how is he doing this? How is he getting away with it? What's his modus operandi? The whole thing. And Dexter's foster sister also works on the police force. She is at that point working Vice and as a fake hooker to get intel on the streets. And okay, so far, really nothing we haven't seen before. And I'm in. I'm going to watch this. We have the wise talking pathologist, the forensics guy, the Japanese guy that just has to, he's just oh so quippy and oh so funny, and he's so irreverent. He might as well, they haven't done it yet as far as I can see, but they haven't given him like a big thick Reuben sandwich or something, or a ham sandwich to be eating while he's dissecting dead bodies and all of that, whether on the scene or in the lab. But that's also a typical cliche that goes around medical examiners, coroners, doctors, that kind of thing. But he's just about there. And he's always so funny and wise ass. And again, we've seen it. Then we have our Spanish lieutenant that they make it clear was promoted probably against the better judgment of the captain. And we have all our proper cliches. And then we have this guy, Officer Dokes, Lieutenant Dokes, and Sergeant Dokes, whatever he is. This guy is a one-note character. And unless I've missed something, I don't know what this guy's fucking problem is. He hates Dexter. And the only thing that we know is that he hates Dexter because he's got his eye on Dexter. He thinks Dexter is a freak. We have seen nothing up to this point to give this guy any kind of elevated suspicion of Dexter whatsoever, other than the fact that he just finds Dexter weird. We see no evidence. We have no idea if he's dug into this guy's past. He thinks he's a freak because of his zeal for his blood spatter work, which, if it wasn't for Dexter, they wouldn't be solving a lot of their fucking crimes and closing their cases. So I don't know why this guy has a hard-on for Dexter, unless it's some kind of repressed homosexual kind of feeling for him. So as we go further into the story, which by the way, that was a lead that I was kind of expecting to go. It never did. But then we finally start going into a little bit about this, and we find that he's a retired special forces guy, which of course, because he's this muscle-bound, angry, pissed-off guy. And that's the other thing about this character. He's one note. This guy is pissed off every episode. And every close-up, go back and look. Every close-up of this guy is just him burning and glaring at the camera, usually at Dexter. And he talks in one level of voice, and that is he's always talking like this. He's always angry. So we're telegraphing to the audience, this guy is angry. No shit. And here's the thing. We don't know why, other than we know Dexter's secret, and that is to add to the story that this guy may soon discover Dexter's secret. And we know that he's going to. We know it's going that way. But in the meantime, we load up all this other nonsense, and we have a Silence of the Lambs kind of thing with a chess-playing killer, like a Dr. Lecter intelligent kind of guy. Or maybe it could be a woman. At that point, I wasn't ruling out a woman because, you know, female serial killers are not as common as males. I don't know. But they get us going with all these stories. We have the backstory between the lieutenant and how she rose to power and she doesn't like Dexter's sister. And they keep layering all this stuff on. We have the sergeant, Sergeant Angel, that he basically, you know, is trying to move up the ranks. He claims he has a double. Well, he doesn't claim he has a double life. He claims he has a life. And then Dexter finds out that his wife has left him and he really doesn't have a life. And they keep layering all this stuff on and then introduce the girlfriend, Rita. Now, I can tell you, I am in the middle of season 3, so I'm almost halfway through this entire series. And I am going to predict right now, I have not looked ahead. I have not done any spoilers. Rita will die. And that is Rita's purpose, because we have to establish that pretty much everybody Dexter loves who comes in contact with him is a doomed figure. And if there was ever a doomed figure on this show, it is Rita. Other than Dexter's sister, who I predict will die. Not at the hands of Dexter. And I do not predict Rita will die at the hands of Dexter. But something unfortunate is going to happen to Rita in the periphery of Dexter's world. He is going to bring in, like a black hole, he is going to suck all these things into him. And the only result of that is death. Now, we saw this with his pseudo-girlfriend, Lila, who they could have really done something with. And they really didn't, other than we have a little bit of a Fatal Attraction meets Silence of the Lambs thing going. But I'll come back to that. So then we go back to the ice truck killer. And, you know, we see these flashbacks of Dexter as a child. He's witnessed something horrible, and each episode they give us a little bit more, but they're not giving us all of it. See, that's another part of it. You're led to believe that you're seeing the whole thing, and that he became a serial killer as the result of this childhood trauma that he witnessed. But wait, there's more. And as we go deeper, we are introduced to a boyfriend of his sisters, his foster sisters. And at first, they definitely want you to think, could this be the guy? Could she be dating the ice truck killer? Could the ice truck killer have infiltrated the police department? And then we get a red herring. Turns out the first boyfriend is not the ice truck killer. Oh, okay. Big surprise. And then we meet another guy, because you see a security guard at a hockey rink, or a hockey arena, gets kidnapped. And the killer starts sending pieces of him. And the killer has been breaking into Dexter's home. Keep that in mind. If you've seen the series, you know what I mean. The killer has been breaking into Dexter's home and has found out that Dexter keeps slides/trophies of blood samples of his victims, has gone through his photo albums, and done all this stuff. He has easy access to Dexter's apartment, leaving behind chopped up dolls and Barbie doll heads and things like that as calling cards to Dexter. Dexter, inexplicably, is okay with all of this and seems to believe that the killer is playing some kind of game with him, a come find me kind of game. How he got this, I don't know. Why you would think that this guy wants you to find him, I don't know. I just, we have to accept it because of the contrivance of the plot. We have to go with it. There's really no explanation for it, just as there's no explanation for Lieutenant or Sergeant Dokes' hatred for Dexter, other again that he finds Dexter creepy and weird, which I don't know why he doesn't have a problem with Mazuka, the Japanese forensics expert, who I think is far fucking creepier than Dexter, but no one seems to ever worry about that guy because they just play him off as this court jester kind of asshole. So Dexter is enjoying this game. And then it starts to become really personal as he finds that the pieces of this male, which they soon discover is the security guard that was kidnapped, are being left. Dexter is the only one who understands that these pieces are being left at certain spots specific to his childhood pictures. And so we're supposed to be really pulled down the rabbit hole now. Someone knows Dexter's past. They know who Dexter really is. And then we always, every episode, have to worry about what's stopping the ice truck killer from exposing Dexter. But no, he doesn't want to do that because he's enjoying Dexter. You see what I mean? This is a lot of nothing. And it's made out to be something. So in the end, just so you know, we find out that the ice truck killer, surprise, surprise, is not only dating Dexter's foster sister. She starts picking him up and he comes under the guise of a very friendly prosthetics engineer. He builds prosthetic pieces for people who have lost limbs. And we put that together pretty quickly when the security guard is discovered and he's put in the hospital, and he was meant to be found because that's going to somehow elevate Dexter and the game. And this guy builds prosthetics, and he has that kind of creepy look. He has that kind of, what's his name? The Night Stalker, Ramirez. He has that kind of look to him. Totally opposite of Dexter. That'll be important in a minute. And we finally discover that not only is this prosthetics maker and doctor, I think he's a doctor of some kind, whatever he is, not only is he the ice truck killer, not only is he dating Deb, Dexter's foster sister, he's Dexter's blood brother. Yes. Ooh, plot twist. I sat there watching this going, oh, you know, what a fucking surprise this is. Because it's just like you have nothing left. You have nothing already. You're not even out of the first season and you're out of gas. That's how I felt. In the end, there's a confrontation. You know what it's going to be. It's a very Darth Vader Emperor kind of thing. Come to the dark side. We're both serial killers. For what we saw, we finally see what happened to Dexter's mother. She's cut up by a chainsaw by some drug guys. And they both boys witnessed it. Dexter's foster father rescues Dexter, leaves the other brother behind. We never found out. But you see, they slipped all that in later. See, they gave you more and more reveal because they couldn't possibly show you the little brother in the beginning. Like all of a sudden, Dexter, by the end of the first season, has memories that he had a little brother. Before that, we really don't see a lot. I mean, I'm not saying he totally forgot him, but it's definitely not emphasized because, again, everything is so bland and everything is so mediocre that any tip of the hat there is going to give away what little surprises this first season has. In the meantime, Sergeant Dokes is still pissed off and angry, inadvertently shoots two people, or maybe he meant to shoot two people because of his hot temper and possible, shaky mental acumen. We don't know. It's just everybody's acting simply because the plot requires them to do this. It is a contrivance, which means basically nothing happens other than to support a bland, mediocre plot. That's it. There's no genuinely surprising writing. So we already now have, here's the thing. We have Sergeant Dokes, who could have been a character, before we get to the Ice Truck Killer. We have Sergeant Dokes, who could have been a great character and a will he find Dexter, won't he kind of thing. And instead, they just write him as angry and pissed off all the time without any verification or justification of why he hates Dexter. That's what annoyed me so much. You could have had a really good cat and mouse game. This guy was intelligent. He had special forces training. He dealt with psychotics in the Caribbean, I believe, in Haiti or somewhere. There's these machete gangs. So he has definitely an axe to grind against killers, and he's a Dudley Do-Right. This guy is definitely upstanding, so dedicated to his job that he shut out and sacrificed the rest of his life. Then we slowly find that, of course, he happened to have a relationship with the lieutenant, who, by the way, by season 3 seems to have fucked almost everybody in this police force. But I don't know. We'll see. And also, with local government as well. It seems like anytime there's a big wig tragedy where Dexter could be exposed because the victim is connected to some big wig politician or police official, the lieutenant has slept with someone on the case. So that's another contrivance right there, because she's so personally vested into all of this. So we play Dokes as a one-note character, just angry, pissed off, and it eventually turns physical between him and Dexter, which we knew it would, again cementing the inevitable that Dokes is going to become a victim and probably not make it to the end of the series because they've already burned him up. There's nothing for this guy to do but be perpetually pissed off every episode. So let's switch now from Dokes for a moment, because the whole first season is basically working to set things up for Dokes to eliminate him from the show in a subsequent season that we'll get to eventually. So with that, let's go back to his brothers / the Ice Truck Killer. So we go through an entire season, 11, 12 episodes, for at the end, for brother and brother to sit down at a table in their childhood home. It looks like Dexter's brother, who went under the name of Rudy, I forget what his real biological name was. Dexter does call him it. I don't even care. That's the problem. He basically bought their house. That's what I understand. He bought their childhood home with the hope that Dexter would come. Now, he has also taken Dexter's foster sister hostage. She is bait. And she's most of all a sacrifice. She will be the token, or the, I guess that's what it is. She's the talisman, maybe? I don't know, the sacrifice. If Dexter kills her, then he has crossed over completely to the dark side. He has given in to what he is, because that's what the brother does. I'm telling you, you can hear Palpatine in all of it. You can hear Vader in all of it. Come with me. You can, achieve your potential. You don't know the power of being free. Oh my God. It is so Star Wars. It's ridiculous. And he has to confront Dexter. There's going to be a physical confrontation, but he doesn't kill Dexter. He wants Dexter to join him, because here's the thing. We have to accept the argument that two young children witnessing their mother, albeit very brutally murdered in front of them, and they made it clear that they were sitting in 2 inches of blood. I didn't know in a cargo container, in a freight container, that there was enough blood in a human being to create 2 inches of it, but they do show it, like it's deep blood. So I don't know who else they fucking killed inside this freight container to leave all that blood on the bottom of it for 2 boys to simply sit in it and watch helplessly as their mother is cut up. But we have to accept that this massive trauma created 2, not 1, but 2 serial killers, and that they went down the path of shutting off their emotions and becoming sociopaths because of witnessing this intense trauma. That's a little hard to buy, but we have to accept it for the sake of the plot, the contrivances. So here's my argument. The brother goes through all this trouble. He cuts up people, drawing the attention of the police force. He ends up infiltrating the police force, dating Dexter's foster sister. Now you can say, well, Harrison, he was trying to get inside intel, blah, 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 blah. Here's my point. The motherfucker didn't have to involve the police at all. If Dexter was nothing more than the end game here, other than the thrill of the kill, there were better ways and easier ways to do this. But you see, the whole thing, the whole first season has to suffer from the idiot plot, which Robert Ebert said, he created that term, that everyone in the story must act like idiots for the plot to work. And that's exactly what's going on here. Everyone had to act like a moron for this whole plot to work. So you want Dexter to embrace his inner serial killer and join you in a life of crime and being free and killing, and set yourself free. He's had access to Dexter's apartment. Why would you play all of these games and run the risk of getting caught when all you had to do was show up at Dexter's door or send him a voicemail, a text, or a letter at the police force, whatever, I don't care, and invite him to your childhood home where you're waiting for him, and have a victim that is not his foster sister, because we know that no matter how hard Dexter says he doesn't have feelings, we know he does. We know he loves Rita. And if he really doesn't love Rita, he really likes her. But it looks like he has an affinity for her children as well, too. And he definitely gives a shit about his foster sister. What if this brother never took that into consideration? Why not give Dexter a bad person to kill and say, kill this person, look how easy it is, and join me? No, I'm going to give you probably the hardest person for you to kill, which will give you plenty of opportunity for introspection in the final moments to turn on me and attack me and see that I'm the bad guy that must be killed. That's the irony. And then you get people going, ooh, look, he really was bad. He was doing bad things. That's why Dexter has to kill. This is not smart writing, folks. This is not smart creation at all. This is extremely mediocre and derivative. And it is packaged up to make you think it's really fucking smart. And it's not. All the killer, the whole entire first season could have easily been eliminated, save for one episode. Maybe a two-parter where he invites Dexter. He already comes into his home. What if Dexter comes home from work one night and there he is sitting there waiting? All he's wanted to do was get his brother back. That's all he's ever wanted to do, was reunite with his brother. So you thought the best way was to arouse the ire and curiosity and eventually the full force of the Miami Metro Police Department just to play a game for basically what comes down to a family reunion. That's what you're telling me. You could have easily solved this by walking through the door and saying, hey, I'm your long lost brother. Brother, let's you and I talk. I've got a little something for you at our childhood house. And then have Dokes looking into all of that and actually give Dokes something to do other than just be pissed off all the time and have suspicions. I don't get any of this. And yet, here is this show so beloved, and people think it's so wildly creative and so wildly intelligent. And I know you're saying, but Harrison, you're judging it on one season. No. This goes right into the next season and into the third season with constant contrivances. So instead of Dexter telling Rita he's not a drug addict and confronting her and telling her, look, I love you. I'm here for you. I've shown how good of a person I am to your children. Your husband, your ex-husband was a piece of shit. What I did was probably not right. I am willing to accept it, but I did you a favor. And I know you're going to say, but he said that. Yeah, he did. However, Why go down the path of, yes, I'm also a heroin addict and I'm addicted and I should be in recovery, and then she sends him to recovery where you know he's going to meet someone there, because that opens up another avenue of stories, because we have nothing else. And in the meantime, you have a plethora of all these characters at the police department, except for one who is still pissed off and angry, and just getting angrier and more pissed off. They even try to allude that he might want to fuck Dexter's sister, but that never goes any farther either, other than the fact that it's clear that he has some kind of puppy dog crush on her. He likes her, but he never makes a move on her. I don't know why do you even bother to introduce that? It's no different than in Stranger Things season 4 or 3 it was, where Mike's mother looked like she was going to have a little Mrs. Robinson thing going with Billy, that they were going to have some kind of thing. He was going to fuck the old lady. And then she backed out at the last minute, and that just all went nowhere. They spent episode after episode building this up with all these middle-aged, very bored housewives sitting around a pool, scoping out the young boy, which, again, just for the sake of it, if we reverse that and it was a bunch of middle-aged men scoping out the young female lifeguard, we'd be me-tooing and screaming all over the place. However, it's perfectly okay when the middle-aged women do it, but I digress. The point is, that plot line never went anywhere. It was almost like they were going to develop it and went, that's probably not a good idea. So you know what? Fuck the audience. Let's just move on. Well, that's what they did with Dexter. They never did anything with him. And if you've gotten to season 2, then you know what happens to Dexter. And none of it is a surprise. That's what I mean. I didn't even deliberately put spoiler alert at the front of this, because there are no spoilers. You can see all these switches coming. There are no really major plot twists here. You can see them coming a mile away, and yet people sit back and hail this thing as so incredibly intelligent and so complex and so deep. And I am here to tell you, it's about as deep as Dexter's blood spatters on the floors or on the ground. That's about it. There is nothing much here. And I know you're going to say then why do you keep watching? Because here's the thing. I keep hoping it'll get better. I want to watch now because I want to see if they can keep going with such mediocrity. I want to know how they got almost basically 9 seasons, 10 seasons out of this, if you count these comebacks and all that stuff and revivals. I want to know how they did this and how this has created such a huge following for basically nothing more than mediocrity. I'm telling you, go back and watch that first season. Maybe I missed something, but I watched it pretty intently, and I don't understand why the brother just didn't do what I said and just approach Dexter directly instead of playing a game. And most of all, people go, well, that was part of it. That was part of the fun. It's part of the thrill. No, then don't involve the police, which could come in and ruin your beloved plan. Because remember, the goal of the plan is to reunite his brothers and basically become a serial killing sibling team. That's what he wanted. You don't involve the fucking police if that's your end goal. If it's just to fuck with them, then I can understand it. But that's not what it was. The goal was, we're going to reunite, and under the cover of our identities, we will go forth and create a new super team of serial killing. Yeah? Then don't involve an entire gigantic city police department, you fucking idiots. And that's what they did. And that's my problem with cinema right now. This is cinema, because they could have done a lot better. There were a lot better plot points you could have done, especially involving Dexter, which, again, I don't know what they must have said to this guy in describing his character. And as the actor, I wonder if he ever came to set and talked to the directors or the writers and said, do you think you could give me something to do other than yelling my lines all the time? Because that's all this guy does. He barks and yells all of his lines. He does nothing else. And he's always angry. Every close-up, every side shot, every medium shot, he's glaring, burning, staring, seething, boiling. That's all he's doing. It becomes tiresome. I fucking hated the character. And I didn't hate him because I don't want him to get Dexter. I knew Dexter was going to get him because he's such a big mouth hothead. He's going to fuck up. And that's exactly what happens. If I were that actor, I'd be pissed off as to what they did with my character, because all they did was eventually set him up to be a patsy so we can get more seasons of Dexter and make him the fall guy. And it's a dumb plot twist as well, because with this guy's record and his reputation, and even with the fact that the FBI guy, Keith Carradine's Lundy, I think his name was, who of course happens to also be fucking Dexter's sister, because everybody's fucking inside this police department. That's all they do. The only one that's not getting laid is Mazuka, the forensics guy. So I don't know why they couldn't have given him more to do, and why this actor, he must have. I don't know him. I've never met him. I have never seen an interview confirming this, but something tells me if he's the actor, and by the way, he's a great actor. That had nothing to do with it. You wanted to see more from this guy other than being just the angry, pissed off guy. And that's all he is, and he's just set up to die. So that's my episode for today. It's kind of an anti-Dexter rant, because Dexter is not as smart as the writers think it is. They really thought they had something cool. And in the end, they just kind of don't. They have a great premise. And they're building a series off of an interesting premise that I don't know how much mileage it really has. So I'm predicting tragedies every season. Dexter is the centerpiece of the tragedies, whether actively or inactively. He is the cause of misery. Everything Dexter touches dies because he is truly corrupt, and he is a cancer, although he believes he is a purifier. And you know what? In some ways, I understand what you're going to say. Yeah, he is. He's getting rid of this scum on the streets. I get it. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying that for a plot, it's pretty mediocre. And the point of this broadcast this time around is just simply to say, you need to recognize that. It's not as great and it's not as smart as you think it is. This is Harrison Smith. Thanks for listening, and look forward to talking to you again, hopefully real soon.
Turn the dial, listen up, this 80s crew. Come on, feel the vibe. We're bringing something new. The out movie orbs mine, but bring it to